Hi everybody, it's Linnea here for Miss Ink Stamps, and today I'm doing something that I rarely do. I'm going to be creating a really easy card, but just using one stamp set and nothing else other than a couple of inks and watercolors. So really just no stenciling for my background, just one stamp set, which is almost unheard of for me. So I'm using the Miss Ink Stamps It's All Relative stamp set, and I'm going to take these little symbols here and just stamp them all over my background. There's two different sizes. So when I stamp a background, I like to start with the largest one and kind of fill up my background as much as I want, and then switch over to the smaller size. Starting with the bigger one ensures that I have enough room for the big ones. If I start with the little ones and fill up my backgrounds, I might not have enough space for the big ones. So always start with your bigger elements when you're stamping your own background. Start big and then fill in with your small. I stamped all of those in black ink, and I wanted to bring a little bit more color to my background. So I'm taking some shimmer watercolors and just really dipping my brush in, swirling that around, and I'm going to flick on some light pink, some kind of magenta, and then some gold watercolor spatters, just so there'll be some color in my background. It's very subtle, but it adds a nice little something to my card. Once I'm done flicking on, you're going to see once it's dry, it has this nice shimmer and just a little bit of color. It's really a nice touch, I think. So I'll set that aside and start working on my images. I'm going to color up my little guy and the blackboard from the It's All Relative, and I'm using Copic markers, coloring very simply. I usually use 3 or 4 markers for each color, so at the very least a dark, a medium, and a light. Sometimes I'll bring in some more colors, like when I color up the blackboard, since that's a larger area, I'll have a couple mid-tones there. But for his little jacket here, I'm just using 3 colors, my darker green, my medium green, and then my lighter is actually kind of a yellow green, so it gives that olivey coloring to the jacket. I'm going to use some warm grays for the for his tie, and then some browns for his pants and for his shoes and his little pipe as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on to coloring the blackboard. I'm using some earth brown markers for the stand, I guess you could call it. I'm just going to add some shadows or dark marker where I think there should be shadows. So I'm going to go with E57, blend that out with E55, and then my lightest color is E53. I'm just adding shadows in the corners and underneath the blackboard where I'm imagining the light kind of coming from the top. So anywhere there's a lip or something, there will be a little bit of a shadow. For my blackboard, I googled cartoon chalkboards, and you can color them green, which in my first card that I used this stamp set for a couple months ago on the Miss Ink Stamps YouTube channel, I did color a green chalkboard, but all the chalkboards that I had in my house and in school growing up were actually black. I've never had one of the green ones, so I wanted to use my cool gray markers and do like an actual blackboard. So I started with C9, and then I came in with C7. Then I'm coming in with C5 here, and I will go over all of that with C3, but I thought the C3 was a little bit too light. I had too much of a highlight in the middle there, so instead I'm going to use C5 as my lightest color and just color all over that. Now before I cut these out, I wanted to add some more of the little proton, neutron, electron, little chemistry symbols here so that it would match my background. So I'm going to just use some white pigment ink. I find that when you're simulating a drawing on a chalkboard, white pigment ink often looks more realistic than white heat embossing. So I'm just going to ink up this little symbol with white pigment ink and stamp that on the blackboard. Then I'm just going to arrange my little guy and the blackboard on my card. I kind of had this envisioning of it. It says, I'm relatively impressed for my sentiment. So I kind of wanted him popping up from the bottom left-hand corner to just be like, oh, I'm relatively impressed, as a maybe like a congratulations card or something. I know back to school is coming up faster than many of us wish, so I'm going to have some friends that are going to be heading off to college, and so I thought this would be a really cute card for them. So I'm just going to add some foam tape behind that sentiment and behind my little scientist here and the chalkboard, and have him popping up from that bottom left-hand corner. Flip that card over and trim off the excess, and this card is finished. One stamp set, and that is it. Thank you guys so much for joining me. I will see you again really soon. Bye.